Imagine a map of Europe in the middle of the 1800s. Where we see Germany today, there wasn't one single country. Instead, you would find a colorful mix of states. There were kingdoms like Prussia, Bavaria, and Saxony. There were smaller duchies and free cities too. This collection of lands was called the German Confederation. It was a loose group, not a single nation. The states often had their own rulers, their own armies, and their own laws. They spoke German, but they weren't together. This division had been around for a very long time, making Central Europe a complicated and often competitive place. These German states were neighbors, but they were also rivals. The strongest ones were Austria and Prussia. Both were big and important, and both wanted to be the main power among the German-speaking people. This rivalry caused constant tension. If one state tried to get more power, others would get suspicious. It was a delicate balance that stopped any one leader from bringing everyone together. For hundreds of years, this separation had made the German lands easy targets for outside influence, especially from powerful countries like France and Russia, who liked to keep their neighbors divided and weak. A new idea, however, was starting to spread quickly across these divided lands. This was the idea of nationalism. People began to feel a shared identity based on their common language, culture, and history. They read the same stories by the brothers Grimm and listened to the same music by composers like Beethoven. This growing feeling of being German made many people dream of a single strong German nation. They believed that being united would bring strength, wealth, and a respected place in the world. This wish for a united homeland became a powerful political movement, especially after the Napoleonic Wars had shaken up the old way of doing things in Europe. This dream of unity was strong, but making it real seemed almost impossible. Who would lead this new Germany? Would it be a republic or a monarchy? And what would happen to all the kings, princes, and dukes who ruled the individual states? The biggest question of all was about Austria and Prussia. A united Germany couldn't have two leaders. One of them would have to step aside, and neither wanted to. The way to unification was blocked by political rivalries and old traditions. It would take a very special kind of leader to break this standstill and create a nation from these different parts. Into this complicated world stepped a man named Otto von Bismarck. He was a Prussian statesman, a landowner from a noble family. He wasn't a dreamy nationalist who wanted unity just for the sake of it. Bismarck was practical, a master of what he called Realpolitik, or the politics of reality. His main loyalty was to his king and to Prussia. He saw that a united Germany, led by Prussia, would make his home state incredibly powerful. He believed that the big questions of the day would not be decided by speeches and votes. He famously said they would be decided by iron and blood. This showed his belief in military strength and taking strong action. Bismarck became the minister-president of Prussia in 1862. From this position, he began to carry out his big plan. He knew that uniting Germany would need both clever talking and military force. He wasn't a man who rushed into things. Instead, he was like a chess player, thinking several moves ahead. His first goal was to make the Prussian army stronger. He did this even when the Prussian parliament refused to approve the money. He found clever ways to get the money anyway, showing his determination to put military power at the center of his strategy. He knew a strong army would be the best tool in his political toolbox. His plan had three main steps. First, he needed to remove Austria from its powerful position within the German Confederation. He knew he couldn't just attack Austria without a good reason. He needed to isolate them, making sure that other big powers like France and Russia wouldn't get involved. Second, he had to convince the smaller southern German states, which were mostly Catholic and didn't trust Protestant Prussia, to join his side. He needed to create a situation where they would see Prussia not as someone taking over, but as a protector. This would take incredible political skill and cleverness. Finally, Bismarck needed a common enemy to bring all the German states together. Nothing unites a group of rivals faster than a threat from the outside. He picked France, under its ambitious leader Napoleon III, as the perfect choice. Bismarck planned to start a fight with France at just the right moment. He believed that a patriotic war against a foreign power would get rid of the remaining differences between the German states. This carefully planned series of steps was designed to make a Prussian-led Germany seem not just possible, but necessary for the survival and glory of the German people. Bismarck's plan began to happen with a series of short, quick wars. The first was the war against Denmark in 1864. Prussia joined forces with Austria to take the lands of Schleswig and Holstein. This victory served two purposes. It showed the strength of the new Prussian army, and it also created a future point of disagreement with Austria over how the newly won lands should be ruled. Bismarck now had the perfect excuse to challenge Austria's leadership. He had cleverly drawn his main rival into a situation that he could control and use for his own goals, setting the stage for the next part of his plan. The trap was set in 1866. Using disagreements over Schleswig-Holstein as a reason, Prussia went to war with Austria. The fight, known as the Austro-Prussian War, was surprisingly short. In just 7 weeks, the very efficient Prussian army crushed the Austrians at the Battle of Sadowa. Bismarck's handling of the peace treaty was a brilliant move. He didn't shame Austria or take large parts of its land. He simply forced it to accept the end of the old German Confederation and to stay out of German matters. Prussia then took over several smaller northern German states and formed a new North German Confederation firmly under its control. Now, only the southern states, like Bavaria and Württemberg, remained outside of Prussia's influence. They were wary of Prussia, but Bismarck had another trick to play. He knew that France was worried by Prussia's growing power. He used a disagreement over who would become the King of Spain to provoke the French. He cleverly changed a telegram, the Ems dispatch, to make it sound as if the Prussian king had insulted the French ambassador. This made the French public very angry, and Napoleon III declared war on Prussia in 1870. This was exactly what Bismarck had wanted. The southern German states, seeing France as the attacker, immediately joined with Prussia for protection. The Franco-Prussian War was another amazing success for the Prussian military. The combined German armies swept into France, captured Napoleon III himself, and surrounded Paris. The wave of patriotic feeling that swept through Germany was huge. The shared victory on the battlefield created a strong bond between the North and the South. While their soldiers fought together in France, the German princes were convinced to offer the imperial crown to the Prussian king, Wilhelm I. On January 18, 1871, in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, the German Empire was officially announced. Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor, had achieved his goal. The creation of the German Empire in 1871 dramatically changed the map of Europe. A new, powerful nation had appeared right in the middle of the continent. This new Germany was a factory powerhouse with a strong army. It quickly became one of the most important countries in the world. Under Bismarck's continued guidance as Chancellor, the empire developed a single legal system, one type of money, and a national railway system. The mix of states was gone, replaced by a lively and ambitious new empire. This sudden shift in power would have huge effects for the decades to come. However, the way Germany was united left a complicated story. It was a unification achieved not through popular uprising or democratic votes, but through the military power of one state, Prussia. The new empire was built on the idea of iron and blood. This meant that military values and strong-handed politics were placed at the heart of the new German state. The army had a special, respected role in society, and the democratic parliament, the Reichstag, had limited powers. This focus on military strength and conservative rule would shape German politics for many years, causing problems both at home and abroad. Bismarck's story is a powerful lesson in political skill and planning. He was a master of talking to others, able to play his rivals against each other with amazing foresight. He understood that nationalism could be a powerful tool to reach his political goals. He wasn't driven by what people wanted. He used it. He showed how a determined leader with a clear plan could change the course of history. His career shows the immense power of Realpolitik, a style of politics based on practical goals rather than on beliefs or morals. He built a nation, but he did so using methods that were both clever and tough. Today, the story of German unification still matters. It reminds us how nations are formed and how quickly the political scene can change. It shows how the actions of a single important person can have effects that last for generations. The united Germany that Bismarck created went on to play a central role in the major events of the 1900s, including 2 world wars. Understanding its beginnings, forged in the fires of war and diplomacy, is essential to understanding modern Europe. Bismarck's big move created a nation, but it also set it on a path that would deeply shape the future of the entire world.